chapter 1, verse 14 says, "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And we saw his glory. The glory is the Father's only Son, full of grace and truth." Christmas, of course, is not at its core about spiced cider, gaily wrapped presents, and shining ornaments. It is about the incarnation, the enfleshment of the Son of God as a human being. This story did not take place in a decorated villa of Nazareth or a sterilized stable in Bethlehem. The story unfolded among real people whom God called for a purpose beyond themselves, who responded with yes when they were called. It is a story of discipleship and risk, of faith and hope, of intimate, caring love, and bold, never to turn back again decisions. The true story of Christmas has the power to reignite living faith in you and deepen the quality of our discipleship. Today we are going to reflect on the Word became flesh, the Emmanuel, or the God with us. The proclamation in John's Gospel tells us he dwelt among us. The Gospels tell us of so many stories where Jesus dwelt with us. He changed lives. He performed miracles. With his presence, he made a difference. Those stories were written nearly 2,000 years ago. But for us today, we still struggle to let that God be with us and to be at the center of our lives. He is there waiting for us to let him dwell in our lives. We reflect on that dwelling through this skit called the Ragman, the Christ.
The Ragman, the Christ. A story by Walter Wayne Garrett, Jr. I saw a strange sight. I stumbled upon a story most strange. Something that my life, my street sense, my sly tongue had never prepared me for. Hush, child. Hush now. And I will tell it to you. Even before the dawn one Friday morning, I noticed a young man, handsome and strong, walking the alleys of our city. He was carrying an old sack filled with clothes, both bright and new, and he was calling in a clear, tenor voice, "Rags." Ah, the air was foul, and the first light filthy, to be crossed by such sweet music. Rags, new rags for old. I take your tired rags. Rags, he cried. Now this is a wonder, I thought to myself, for the man stood 6'4", and his arms were like tree limbs, hard and muscular, and his eyes flashed with intelligence. Could he find no better job than this? To be a ragman in the inner city? I followed him. My curiosity drove me, and I was not disappointed. Soon, the ragman saw a young woman sitting on her back porch. She was sobbing into a handkerchief, sighing and shedding 1,000 tears. Her knees and elbows made a sad X. Her shoulders shook. Her heart was breaking. The ragman stopped. Quietly he walked to the woman, stepping round tin cans, dead toys and pampers. Give me your rag, he said so gently, and I'll give you another. He slipped the rag from her eyes. She looked up, and he laid across her palm a linen cloth so clean that it shined. She blinked from the gift to the giver. Then as he began to walk away, the ragman did a strange thing. He put her stained handkerchief to his own eyes, and he began to weep, to sob as previously as she had, his shoulders shaking. Yet she was left without a single tear. This is a wonder, I breathed to myself, and I followed the sobbing ragman, like a child who could not turn away from a mystery. Rags, rags, new rags for old, he cried out again and again. In a little while, well, the sky showed gray behind the rooftops, and I could see the shredded curtains hanging out black windows. The ragman came upon a girl whose head was wrapped in a bandage, whose eyes were empty. Blood soaked her bandage. A single line of blood ran down her cheek. Now the tall ragman looked upon this girl with pity, and he drew a lovely yellow bonnet out of his sack. Give me your rag, he said, tracing his own line upon her cheek, and I'll give you mine. The child could only gaze at him while he loosened the bandage, removed it, and tied it to his own head. The bonnet he set on her head, and I gasped at what I saw. For with the bandage went the wound against his brow, and ran a darker, more substantial blood, his own. Rags, rags, I take your tired rags, rags, cried the sobbing, bleeding, strong, intelligent ragman. The sun hurt both the sky now and my eyes. The ragman seemed more and more to hurry. Are you going to work? He asked the man who sat quietly. But the man merely shook his head. The ragman pressed him. Do you have a job? Are you crazy? Sneered the other. For he pulled away from the pole, revealing the right sleeve of his jacket. Flat. The cuff stuffed into the pocket. He had no arm. So, said the ragman, give me your jacket, and I'll give you mine. Such quiet authority in his voice. The one-armed man, he took off his jacket, and so did the ragman. And I trembled at what I saw. For the ragman's arm stayed in its sleeve, and when the other put it on, he had two good arms, thick as tree limbs. For the ragman, Go to work, he said. After that, he found a drunk, a homeless soul, lying unconscious beneath an old army blanket, hunched, wheezing, and sick. He took the blanket and he wrapped it around himself. But for the drunk, he left new clothes. And now I had to rush to keep up with the Ragman. Though he was weeping uncontrollably, bleeding freely from his forehead wound, carried his sack with one arm, stumbling for drunkenness, falling again and again, exhausted, old, and sick. Yet he went with terrible speed. On spider's legs he skittered through the alleys of the city, this mile and the next, until he came to its limits. And then he rushed beyond. I wept to see the change of this man. I hurt to see his sorrow. And yet I still needed to see where it was he was going, perhaps to know what drove him to so. The little old Ragman, he came to a landfill. He came to the garbage pits. And then I wanted to help him in what he did, but I found back, hiding. He climbed a hill. With tormented labor, he cleared a little space on that hill. Then he sighed. He lay down. He pillowed his head on a handkerchief in his jacket. He covered his bones with an army blanket. What I witnessed that day, the selfless giving of another, was truly a miracle. For the Ragman took away pain and sorrow, loss and destruction, fear and distress, and he gave life. As I watched that day, I saw darkness become light. I saw despair become hope. What I witnessed that moment was truly God with us. The Ragman, the Christ.